super tenacious, like at least 100% tenacity. Same with crew. It's a great way to Wampa is one we've been doing, as well as Zalbar is another great one for him to not have buff immunity. So it's really important kind of piece of the puzzle when you're looking at your whole guild and just your grand arena too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, many of us shouldn't have too many tenacity mods, because up until mod 2.0, this really wasn't a factor. There was just really no way you could feasibly get your tenacity high enough. Now you can. The tenacity sets give bonus. They give additional tenacity. This tenacity secondary stat is one of the stats that gets a significant increase when you take a mod to 60. The tenacity cross went up to 35%, I think it is. So it did kind of close the gap to where it does make a difference. She mentioned crew and boss. To keep it simple, you want them pretty much identical the way they're modded. Maybe favor some extra protection over health on boss. But yeah, so they do get regenerating health and protection from his leadership. Boba Fett is a character you can kind of mod again, kind of universally. You don't have to really fine tune him per se. Just all around great character, fast. You can put offense or crit damage on him, specialize in offense, or you can build him a little more tanky with like a potency oriented build. If you're more concerned with the ability block and the dot than you are maybe necessarily the big damage. It's not really a right or wrong way to do him. I guess.
Which one did you say? Boba? Was that Boba?
Yeah, Boba.
Yeah, and something that like Bastila can take down can take down bounty hunters, but if you have a Boba with a lot of offense on them, then he just loves just turning towards Grandmaster Yoda and taking him out really early on. So if you can also get his protection up to around like 50k, so that Imperial troopers can't take them out really easily, because that's something that if you have your Imperial troopers good enough, they'll just mow through that team, no problem. You just kind of take out Boba really fast, take him out again, take out the next squishiest one, and then we usually don't have any damage dealers left on the other side, and you can just focus on Bosk and take him down.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, should I put the second Zeta on Bosk? And the answer is absolutely. I think. Because you're making him fast, so he can go first, pop that taunt. But without that second Zeta, if Boss goes first, pops the taunt, and the other person just immediately dispels, you've essentially wasted a lot of secondary speed on a character, because you just completely negated any. Just not worth it. Like, if you don't have that second Zeta, I guess the speed isn't quite as important, but that's kind of fine tuning, I guess. But there are obviously other bounty hunters. I guess one of the questions you guys asked is how to break them up. I guess 2 teams of 5 and 3 teams of 3. I think the best 3 versus 3 team, and it's actually listed on one of those bots, is Dengar, Boba behind the Bosk lead. That's probably the best for the 3 versus 3. Do you disagree? You have another suggestion?
3 versus 3, I think that's the one. If you have Django, that's kind of like a double threat, and they're all really fast. But Dengar is essentially fast because you just poke him once and he goes into stealth. So you can't get him at him till the end of the match anyway.
I know a team I personally run that does fairly well for me is Zam Wessel, Cad Bane, and Dengar. I typically use Boss for offense. Just because the Bosk lead, much like Kira, much like Karth, much like Jin, it will regenerate protection and health, both Both leads. So that's going to give you offensively an opportunity to make the most amount of banners. So you can get in there, take your time, stall until you get all your protection health back, then do the finishing blow to give you the maximum points. But a lot of people use them on defense. Very, very good defense team. Very common defense team. Like I said, I like the Zam Wessel lead. If you can make her fast, that's a good counter to the Night Sisters. If you have them well, like gear, you're going to have them gear 11, gear 12. But that is a way to take out the Talzin Acolyte zombie team. That's a way to take out the DACA Acolyte zombie team. Just allows you to kind of place bombs and just slowly just kill the people, especially Acolyte. Kill Acolyte from behind Night Sister Zombie without physically having to attack her. I personally don't know much about Imbo, and I don't really have Django. I don't really have much experience with either of them. But I know the last Grand Arena I did play a Django team with some pretty fast bounty hunters on it. I actually lost to it just because I underestimated it. Django's a very, very good character. But I do think I don't know. I really like him as a support character. But he's probably going to be an option. If you want to build 3 teams for 3 versus 3, he's probably going to be one of your leadership options. Then,
and just to add to are we still doing 3v3?
Yeah. We're just talking about splitting them up. I'm just all over the place.
And the Zam too. I placed a little bit too much on defense. I'm like the 3rd lowest GP in my guild, and so I like see all these people placing all these teams. I'm like, oh yes, I should. I'm a wuss. I should be placing more. So this time I placed too much, and I had to take down. Like Zam is at the end of my roster, and I had to basically take her and Dengar and one other. I can't remember who. But against like a gold Bazin turret, and it just like blew them out of the water. So that buff that locks now is the bomb that locks is great. And I'm thinking that might be my go-to Jin counter from now on is Zam lead, because you can get her really fast too. I think she's the 2nd fastest character in the game. So yeah. Make sure to get those bombs on before tenacity goes up.
Yeah, the bombs are cool. Her leadership is just like Talzin's with the plague. It's not the best, but we're talking about. I think hers is one of the best, and obviously Boba. Boba's got Boba's lead is great for the bounty hunters to use with Zam, to use with Greedo, to use with Dengar. But I mean, if you're going to split him off to use him as a leader, you could almost make a better non-bounty hunter team because it applies to all the factions that crit damage and crit chance. He's a pretty flexible character. He's definitely a character everybody should have. Maybe not the best, but above average in just about every situation in terms of PvP. I think if you're going into bounty hunters just blindly, none of them done. You want to do boss, you want to do Boba. You want to do Dengar, which is unfortunate. He's just kind of there, but he is a good piece.
He's a key piece to the puzzle. He's terrible to gear, and he doesn't really do anything other than I don't really know what he does. But when he's there, it's much more difficult. I mean, I know what he does, but like I don't know how the synergy is so great with him, because it is like a gear 12 Dengar is a big deal, and you can put Dengar in with if you have your boss get gear 12 and your Boba at gear 12, you can put like a gear 9 or 10 Dengar in there, and he's working fine. You just put all critical chance mods on him, and so that he can land some debuffs and maybe some potency, and then he just goes into stealth, so you don't have to worry. And he's a little bit more beefy than the other bounty hunters too. Just looking at Zam's base speed.
Defensively, the Imbo lead is pretty good. You just have to if you do want to field an Imbo lead, you want to go pretty heavy on the tenacity, because because the Imbo lead, it's just like any retribution lead. The reason they're also just kind of like, we've all tried to build one. We've all tried a I'm a Gundy team. We've all tried a Garth Saxon team or an Imbo team. At some point, we've tried to make it work. It never does, just because it's so susceptible to daze and stun. So if you do want to go with the Imbo lead, just make sure you have lots of tenacity invested in the team, because that is one thing the bounty hunters lack, is a cleanse, which is unfortunate, because that TW bonus set that we had for months and months and months granted them a cleanse whenever they would crit, which was great. What made the bounty hunters so good, and a lot of people farm the bounty hunters is for TW defense, because those bonuses, those are no longer there. Let's see. Aura's lead is pretty cool, but unfortunately, there's only one boss. So you have to come up with a different tank to do it. It is a good lead. It can be frustrating. But again, any stealth lead is going to have its counters, B2, Asajj. There's all sorts of AoE dispels. It gets rid of all the stealth.
And my guys who run her as lead, they don't typically put Bosk in there. Maybe that's just because he's limiting, but I just let people who have like 10 done bounty hunters, I just let them do what they want. So I figure they know best. So it's usually Bosk and Aura is what they put in there. And you can leave Nest out of that, and that's really annoying because she doesn't stealth. So like a really tanky, nasty, high tenacity Nest outside of an Aura lead. And typically, who has 10 bounty hunters? That's a pretty whaley thing to have. So, I don't have 5 bounty hunters that I would put on defense. So, and they're actually really good with other scoundrels too, like L3 and Vandor Chewbacca with Bosk, Boba, and Dengar is a nasty, nasty team because you have like all of these dynamics happening. Vandor's not going to revive any of the dark side scoundrels, but L3 is going to heal everybody. So you've got that dynamic going in. You've got L3 cleansing them. As Scuddle mentioned, they don't have a cleanse of their own. She does cleanse the light side scoundrels, right?
I think it's all scoundrels.
Yeah, it's all scoundrels. And so that's a really nasty team. Now that we have so many more prep, that she's kind of dedicated to that team. But like as you're developing your prep teams, L3 and Vandor Chewbacca, in my opinion, are the ones that you other than Nest, are the ones that you want to do first out of the Kira-led scoundrel teams. And while you're developing them, they can go on really low gear, but you can also bring those characters onto your bounty hunter squads. Nest with like a fast Bosk. Like if you see that, that's consideration for Treya'ing. Like that's, just like Night Sisters with Nest, Bosk with Nest, like that. I'm looking at that. I'm going, yeah, we're probably Treya-ing all of these. I might go through and see if there's any that I can use EP or Imperial Troopers against, like super slow Nests or like weak ones. But usually it's just like it's a zone where you don't have a choice. It could be a bloodbath, or you just use the best counter team.
Well, I think good base stats for you guys to shoot for. Bosk, try to just start. It's going to sound high, but just start with try to get 100 speed on him. Try to get 75% tenacity, which is pretty easy to do. You're going to get the bonus from the leadership as well, putting him over 100% tenacity. Try to have 75 tenacity, 100 additional base speed, and then if you can, try to get his protection up. I don't have a hard number, but maybe improve it, 75%. Try to put almost double. Double is what you want. I mean, you can make a case if you guys have 60 health circles going around, that those will work just as well, if not better. It's probably true, but a lot of people don't have just tons and tons of health primaries, and they are better suited for like L3, Vandor Chewie, the Night Sisters, Han. There are other characters that need health circles over Bosk. So, what is this thing here? Oh, this is a cool little infographic.
When people don't put their like names or contact information on here. I agree with most stuff.
For those of you guys that have like 6 bounty hunters, Cad Bane being the 6th, she mentioned putting L3 and Vandor on your bounty hunter team. If you do have like a Cad Bane, he's like the odd. He does serve very well under a Kira team. So because Kira leadership will give that stacking speed, to support characters. Cad Bane's a support, so he will get up to 60 additional speed, and then he will regenerate lots of protection from his uniques, his kits, and then also he double taps, so that's 2 chances to get that protection back under Kira. So he's suitable fill-in for a Kira team if you guys do want to split it up, like she was suggesting for TW for the 5 versus 5 rendering. I personally love IG-88. But I rarely use him on a bounty hunter team. This doesn't really seem to fit. if you guys do have him, the Zeta on IG-88 will make him basically a Night Sister killer. He's kind of a universal Night Sister counter with that Zeta. I'm not suggesting that should be a high priority, but if you got it or you are thinking about it, as long as you can get him tanky enough to take more than 2 basic attacks to kill him, that Zeta is relatively. And Django, I believe it's that Zeta team money that prevents characters from being revived if you can.
Yeah, so I'm considering, and I wish I did it last time. I finally did like my GP. What's my GP? I'm almost at 4 million, and I finally did CLS. It binds all things. I was like the only person in the game to not have that Zeta, except for like some, like Empire fanboys who just refused to get it. So I almost did the Django Zeta. The Django Zeta basically turns every single move that Django has, every single damage dealing move Django has, into Annihilate, as long as you kill the tune. So super useful for Night Sisters. It turns the bounty hunters, and I don't want to say it turns the bounty hunters into a Night Sister killer, because I usually want to play that team before I say that, because that's a big deal to have like Night Sisters are awful, as I'm sure you guys have all experienced in 3 versus 3. They have been my Night Sisters have been the last team on my board. Actually, I'm going to look at, I think it might be every single match Mother Talzin held for me in the game. So they're incredible. They'll take down Revan, and if I want to put my Night Sisters on the board, because we have another way of taking down Revan, it's very, very hard to get through them. So having a Night Sister counter is big. Darkside Bastille helps with it, but I think that the bounty hunters with the Django Zeta, that's going to be one that you're going to see. It's going to be a Zeta you're going to see more and more of, because it will take down the Night Sisters.
And it says, who do you use to counter the bounty hunters? Who do you avoid? You avoid Revan in Treya. I mean, that's I don't really consider bounty hunters really hard counter for either of those teams. But
they asking who to kill them with, or who they kill.
Who to avoid, and then who count. Like if they have a bounty hunter team ready to use, which teams do they? That's going to be CLS. That's going to be Treya. That's going to be unless you are just all in the bounty hunters have all Zetas. Really, lots of practice. You're probably not going to stand too much of a chance versus those 3 teams. But everything else, it all depends on the speed of your boss, because what you can beat. If your boss goes first in the match, you've got a very, very high chance of winning about damn near anything. So boss is a very, very good character. And that taunt, you just cannot get through it. And it's a great, great character. How do you counter them? Definitely the Imperial Troopers. She mentioned that a few minutes ago. If they're not tenacious, like we're suggesting with the high tenacity, you can counter them with like a Zeta Finn. You got any other hard bounty hunters?
We're very like our TWs are very clean, right? Like we're almost getting the top amount you can get is 21,150 points, and we're getting like 20,900 and something most of the time. So we don't use Finn. Finn is very finessey. You have to have him modded well, and you have to know that team well in order to use it. I've had people use it on bounty hunters successfully, but it's done in secret so that everybody doesn't go in and do it. Like typically if you're going against a bounty hunter team, your Imperial Troopers need to be the same gear level, and they need to be faster. Like Stark needs to be faster, and then Veers needs to be 20% less speed than Stark. So if Stark is 250 speed, then Veers has to be 200 speed. Like is that 20%? Something like that. 50. So or else if there's too big of a gap, if your Veers is too slow, the other team is going to get to go. So there's a lot of nuanced modding that happens with the Imperial Troopers, and you have to make sure if it's 5v5 that your snow is like super duper offense, like even an offense arrow sort of thing, because he's responsible for taking out Boba. If there's a pre-taunter on that team, like I said, L3 before, that is not a team you're going against with Imperial Troopers unless you think you can take out L3 in one shot with your troopers, which you just can't. Right? You're going in with a different team there, like Palpatine or something like that. But you can really limit it, right? If you put a pre-taunter there, you can't do Imperial Troopers. If you make Bosk super high tenacity, you can't use Palpatine. If you make Boba really offense-oriented, you can't use Bastila. So you're just really trying to limit the number of counters that you can make on that team to make it hold really well. Rey is going to take that down every single time. Like if you're losing to Rey, you've done something wrong. It's not that bounty hunter team is good. It's that you're not. Like it's happened to me, like it's happened to everyone, but you've made a mistake in the battle if the bounty hunters have won with Rey, because there's just so much control with that team and lots of damage. Maybe you're taking in the wrong character, or the way you're using Rey's mind tricks isn't right, that sort of thing. So I've yet to see a bounty hunter that is Rey proof or a first order or what else? Kira teams can be tricky, but yeah. So Rey is the hard counter.
Kira teams yeah. Now Karth lead will take out the bounty hunters. That's the team probably not most have. It depends on what. I'm not sure. It looks like you guys are in a multitude of guilds here. Not really sure what size of the guilds you guys are in, but if you're in a more veteran, established, 160, 180 million plus type guild, Rey is probably what you want to go with just for the cleanness, like she recommended. If you're in a smaller guild, you might want to save Rey for something else. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you go in there and try with a kind of an underwhelming team to take the bounty hunters out, you lose, you cost your guild points. Then you got to go in and clean it up anyway. So you might as well just get the max points. Rey counters just about everything, but kind of modding that team to have a specific purpose in TW will help your guild a lot. Anybody else have questions about bounty hunters? I feel bad. I don't really know much about Embo, Aura, and Django myself.
There's a bounty hunter server, and if you guys are in the Empire server, I can post a link to the Empire server, and then there's a list of all the other faction specific servers in there. So if you're really interested in Embo, lots of people are Zeta-ing Embo right now. It's kind of growing Zeta in popularity, and also doing Embo lead. That's the other lead that the guys are doing. They're doing Embo, and so you can go there and ask those guys. That's why we have guests on the show all the time, is because we know enough to know when people are BSing, and we never want to be those guys. So we just bring in people who know, the 160 tunes. We're not going to know every single ability, but there's people who specialize in factions that can really dig and dive in to certain things. So Bounty Hunter server is great for that.
We got a excuse me, question about Zam Wessel's Zeta. I would not personally invest in that Zeta just unless you were just decked to the nines with lots of bounty hunters. Like all the bounty hunters, that's your thing, then definitely it's just not going to serve you. Or if you have, I said 60, but if you have like 40 Zetas already on your team, you got one to gamble with, then you should still probably go elsewhere with it. It is what it is. I mean, if you are committed to this team, especially if you committed to this team to, let's say, that's your Night Sister counter, then perhaps if that's the team you use every TW, every Grand Arena, whatever the case is, then perhaps. But no, don't. I don't think that should be one you guys should be worried about. And then also, somebody.
The only Zetas, in my opinion, that should be on a bounty hunter team are Bosks, both of Bosk Zetas, and people who love the Boba Zeta. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. I don't think
they're all good.
Worth it.
But double Zeta Boss is really the only one you need.
Mandatory.
All the rest are fun, supplementary, kind of enhance a team, but not make. Again, the second one on Boss might seem like a stretch, but if you invest the mods and invest in that team, Boss taunts and they immediately cleanse the taunt or dispel taunts, it can get to everybody else in your team. Greedo, IG-88, Zam Wessel, Boba Fett, Jango Fett. These are all super squishy characters, even with the defense boost and stuff they're getting from Bosk. So you got to keep them protected. You got to get Boba. So Zeta makes her stats boost double. Yes.
Probably keep going on the questions.
Yeah, anyone? Yeah, just says in the beginning you talked about high tenacity on. Yes, high tenacity will prevent him from being stunned, being ability blocked, being shocked, which I think that he might cleanse that. Ability block and stun being the main ones you want to. And also healing immunity. Healing immunity will prevent him from healing, and so will shock. You want to keep him eating the damage and taunting the whole match if you. All right. If you guys have some questions about that, you can
just posted there's Bosks that are way better than mine. I have posted my Bosk, which is pretty reasonable for like any guild around 200 million to have. I got like 110 speed on him and 100% tenacity. If you ever want to know how to mod tunes, just go snoop in Team Instinct's roster. Just go like, and you'll see like they're so organized, right? That all of their players have their characters modded in a particular way often. So you can go and see like, oh, look, like all of these Bosks are like 300 speed and they all have, 120% tenacity. Like there's just very, I'm sure there's people who go off book because they have different teams that are, work and they're creative. But for the most part, it's like, this is how we want you to mod this. And then off they go. And they're so disciplined with it.
Yeah, he put it best here. He or she, Lord Shathis. Ideal boss will have 280 plus speed and over 100 tenacity. That is right. And again, start small. Ideally, in a perfect world, it'll be tough. But if you can get that to that 100% tenacity mark without using a tenacity cross, that is pretty phenomenal. That's tough to do. I think I have it. I don't think I can do it on my boss. Yeah, I got a tenacity cross on my boss. So that is a good goal. And again, just try to get, 75% additional protection, maybe a little bit of health, defense. He doesn't need any offense, guys. He doesn't do any damage. Crit chance.
Potency. Like I don't put potency on him really. Like the stun's great, but that's
Somebody
not
asked about how to
go.
increase Cad Bane's evasion. There's really no way to do it until you activate his power, with the exception of accuracy, which he does do on his back attack. That is kind of a silly debuff. Accuracy down on the opponent will cause them to miss more. There are a few characters that give evasion. None that I can really think of that give a targetable, maybe Bodhi Rook. It's like, I don't know. There aren't too many good characters that give evasion up that I can think of. But he's a decent character. Just if I wouldn't try to really get into the gimmick of his evading place a bomb thing. That's just kind of a bonus if it. Unrelated question. If you were creating a brand new account today, where would you focus your efforts for the first light side, dark side team?
Well, can we there's like questions that have been taken. Can we do those first? And maybe the other ones if I'll repost them down here. Maybe do the other ones if we have time at the end.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next part of this outline they've prepared here.
Right, Carly. If I knew it was you, I wouldn't have said that.
What?
I said, sorry, Carly. If I knew it was you, I wouldn't have said that. We found a whole bunch of ladies in the guild that I've co-opted and taken to the Angels server. Right, go ahead.
I mean, did you want to promo your server and advertise for it a little bit before we...
It's not my server. It's where we all plot against you guys.
Yes. You guys, you ladies and Grande Patron can take over the world.
Yeah, take over the world.
All right, number 2 here. When modding a team, what is your problem? How do we get the best mods? What should we be looking for in mods to upgrade? And then which characters are best modded with tenacity? These are some of the. We'll get to those questions. I guess when you look at a blank slate, how do you begin modding?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
So you're breaking up there. So basically when I'm modding a new character, I'm just going to ask in my guild, like, how are we modding this, right? And just like start discussing it, and it'll evolve. When Revan first came on the scene, it was like, oh, definitely he's like all offense oriented, and then it very quickly evolved into like a pure speed build, where the fastest Revan wins, and there's some exceptions to that rule, of course, but yeah, so just waiting for the evolution of that to happen, and usually kind of there's people who I trust that I just kind of talk to, and we work it out. If it's like remodding my whole roster, that's kind of a different thing, and that's something where you need to kind of have a big plan for. For me, it's for territory wars. So often your arena team will get your very best mods. For me, my arena team gets just good enough mods to climb. And then I have like a host of Revan counters right now. So Revan and Trey counters. So I'll have Zeta Finn, the Night Sisters, Talzin Lead, and who's my other one? Rey, with Nest and C-3PO. So that's who I'm using. So I'm practicing with those all the time. And my Revan team actually doesn't have my best mods. My Night Sister team has my best mods because they need them in order to beat really solid Revans where people are placing their best arena mods on them, right? So basically, you have your plan and your counters, and that's kind of where I start. You need to make sure your counters work. If they don't work, well, then they need more mods to be dedicated to them until they do. And then I just work down, what my most important teams are from there. And just as I'm going in order of importance, maybe the one that I like, maybe one that we're really trying to focus on as a guild, they get mods in that way. And I'll make like a speed suggested list to the guild. So, if we're on a kick with fast Nest, so maybe like our Revan's going to be fastest, then Nest, then BB-8. And so knowing that, you can just make a little list for yourself, and then you just start at the top until you run out of mods, right? And those are basically the teams you have. Spreading your mods too thin and having like tons of teams, I suggest, pulling your mods onto a smaller number of teams and having some like really great teams that are going to be hard to get through, versus a bunch of teams that are really easy to navigate and to get through. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, if you guys are slim on the speed secondaries, if you look at every team has some individual character that will benefit the whole team. Like we mentioned Bosk, she mentioned Stark with the Imperial Troopers. If Stark goes first, he does the 2 buff, gives everybody else turn meter on the team. You've got Poe that goes first on a resistance team, reduces the opponent's turn meter. BB-8 on a Rey team. There's always a first order officer for first order team. There's facilitators, if you will, that you can focus your speed on that one character, and they'll make the rest of the team faster. For first order, you have first order officer or the old Kylo Ren. Like, Kylo Ren can do that AoE. If he goes first, he goes his AoE and gives everybody 25% turn meter. There are ways to manipulate speed without having decked out speed on all 5 characters. It's pretty important, guys, to make loadouts. If no other reason, just put your squads in order, like on a loadout, and just start at the top of your Revan, Treya, Night Sister, whatever your arena team is. Give them their mods. Then if you get a good mod, replace it on, say, I don't know, Grandmaster Yoda. Take Grandmaster Yoda's mod, move it down the list, and that's how you build depth, and eventually you'll have enough mods for a new team. So don't rush to get all these characters done, guys. If you don't have appropriate mods for characters, there's no sense in 7-starring, Gear 12 characters you don't have mods for. unless you guys are just super TB focused, which if that's the case, then ignore that. But
that's probably the wisest advice I've had is, you it's like, okay, great, you have like 100 gear 12 characters or 50 gear 12 characters, that's really nice, but if you only have mods enough to make 30 of them modded properly, you actually only have 30 characters. So we like have a huge focus on mods. Good old Maurice and I, it's probably, if you've listened to us before, it's pretty evident. In my opinion, if you can climb as high in arena as you can, make that a focus to get some crystals flowing in, so that you can do those 350 refreshes a day minimum. I was doing 350 refreshes and then 100 refreshes a day. And in, what was it, six weeks, I got 100 additional mods with 10 or more secondary speed on them. So if you're really focused on it, it doesn't take that long. And then a rule of thumb for mods that I've been using is to have one mod for every 20,000 GP, which is kind of silly because it's not character GP, it's just ships GP and character GP together. That's like your full GP. So, I have, what is it, like 230 say, and my GP is like 3.9. So I have about one mod for every like 18,500 or something like that. So it's just, it gives you a good gauge. Like if you're like one mod for every 30,000 GP, then, that you need more mods. If you have one mod for every 10,000 GP, like maybe you have a addiction problem to getting mods. I don't know. I have some guys who are like that. I'm like, probably don't need any more mods. Your characters are probably fine. So, happy medium, 1 in 20,000.
All right, next.
And it's sorry. I was just gonna say, it's also, like you say all the time, Good Maurice, it's completely relevant to where you are in arena, how fast your fastest set needs to be. You basically need to be able to climb, and you want to look in your arena, it's like, oh, I don't have these like 160 speed sets. Well, if nobody in your arena does either, because it's a newer shard, then what are you worried about? It's fine. It's relative to your place. And then if you're in a guild, even if people have a lot more mods than you, if you kind of have as many as people have on your shard, or the most that people have on your shard, then you're kind of doing your mod job.
What should we be looking for in mods to upgrade? Well, that is a very general question, so I'll give a very general answer, I suppose. If you start from scratch, you don't really know much about mods. You want to focus on mods with speed, and then preferably with offense, flat offense. Speed, flat offense are going to be your best all-around mod. That way you can use them for the raid, you can use them for arena, you can use them for grand arena, you can use them for territory. Those are going to be the safest investment. Health circles, health crosses, health triangles are going to be very, very helpful. As when you take those to 6E, those become 16% health, which can really make or break teams. We're seeing these Vandor Chewbacca's starting to reach 55k health. We're starting to see these Night Sister teams really just deck them all out with 16% health. And it does make a difference on particular teams. So I would not 6E too many protection primaries at this point until we see what happens with the mods. I would just kind of sit on those unless, just sit on those and focus on your health circles first to take the 6E. And then you're going to need... Everyone needs one good offense arrow, like offense primary on an offensive base set, whether it be crit damage, crit chance, preferably crit chance, or offense. Get yourself a good offense arrow with offense secondaries. That way, in terms of the Sith raid, you can put that mod on Resistance Trooper. You can move that mod to Han Solo. You can move that mod to, Grandmaster Yoda. Then you can move it to Saj for P4. You got one do-it-all mod. And the same thing with like an offense-oriented cross with offense primary. You look out. You only need one of them guys to start out, and you can move it around. Same way with perhaps a tenacity cross, which leads us to our next question. Just you need one really solid mod for certain things: offense, tenacity, crit damage. Like if you have a really good crit damage triangle, take that up to 6E, then you can again move that from team to team over the course of the raid, your arena team, so on and so forth. Anything else you want to? Just look for mods that aren't all over the place. Basically, like if you have a health mod, if it doesn't have any speed on it, but it's like a health set with double health, tenacity, and action, that's probably going to have a nice home one day on a tank once it's developed. So, but if you have one that's like offense percentage, tenacity, defense percentage, and crit chance or potency, like that mod's all over. And it's not going to be too helpful. That's what you want to min-max characters. You want to enhance what they're good at and kind of neglect what they're not. In general rule of thumb. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just that. Like when I go through to throw away my mods, anything with double offense, flat offense, and offense percentage, I will keep. I'm really not, other than 6E health and the occasional. I have maybe 1 or 2 tenacity crosses for crew and Bosk. I might do a couple more. Though, I'm not really 6Eing a lot unless it has a really solid offense percentage secondary, because that will double. And so I've got a couple that are like, 4%, 5%, where you're basically adding an extra offense mod onto your character. So that's really worth it. A lot of the other secondary stats, they increase predictably, but they don't increase a lot. So, don't do too many protection primaries. Don't do any protection primaries. Don't do that. Basically, the only ones you're doing is health, crit chance, tenacity, and offense. Lots of offense.
Which characters do you mod with tenacity? Generally, tanks or healer type characters are who I mod with tenacity. Basically, any character that is absolutely the core of your team. You can make a case Nest and Treya currently against a health down oriented team. You can get them high in tenacity to resist that health down. Basically, you don't want your tanks being buff blocked or stunned. It doesn't do you any good. Trying to find the sheet here.
I'm going to post a picture of my Nest mod if I can find it here.
How to mod crew. Very, very similar to the Bosk, with the exception that you don't need as much speed on him. He gets it from all the mechanics of the First Order. You would try to shoot for 100% tenacity on him again. And then also you want to really focus health on him because he gets 8% every time he's attacked. You start getting those 6E primaries on him. I think my crew has like 63,000 health. So, every time I'm getting attacked, I'm just getting, 5K health back. It really doesn't add up. So
yeah, that's why you see crew at the end of the match all by himself, or crew and Kylo together because of their regains.
Health and tenacity. Speed is good. Crit chances is not bad as well because he will counter, and when he crits, he will give himself 20% meter. I don't think he really needs potency at all. I think that stun, I'd have to look, but the 2-turn stun,
it's unresistible.
And then tenacity down is also seems to be a guaranteed buff. Don't quote me on that, but I'd never miss with it on him or.
Mm-hmm. There's a growing number of characters that, because of the 6E that you're putting tenacity on, and I mentioned before, like Zalbarks, you don't want buff block on him. Wampa is a good one if you're facing in 3 versus 3 General Kenobi, Barriss, and Wampa has 100% tenacity. What the heck are you going to do about that? Right? Like if you can't put daze on Wampa or stun Wampa, then and you have to take Kenobi and Barriss out while Wampa is there, like it's tricky. Barriss gains turn meter every time you hit one of her allies. She has a passive cleanse for the lowest health character, which is going to be Wampa. That's a brutal team to face and a good team to build too. You're losing Wampa's offense. Obviously, you're not able to put an offense cross on her, or you're not. Every time I say her, I have struggled with that. Wampa is a woman. This is confirmed by lore experts. So Wampa's really scary to face with all tenacity as well. But you do, it's a trade-off, right? You're losing some stuff in trade for these things, but you can, like, 3v3, like Grand Arena and TW right now, because we're becoming so familiar with taking these teams down. It's all about tripping people up and doing things that are unexpected and modding teams in strange ways. That, that's kind of the forefront of that. When my guild faced Alliance Legacy, there's like a 20 million difference. That's who we learned how to mod our bounty hunters from, and they had 100% tenacity on all their bounty hunters. And here we were going in, as we had successfully, we're like, unbeaten long winning streaks of taking out bounty hunters, one-shotting huge, like, awesome bounty hunter teams. So we thought with Palpatine, we're just failing and failing and failing on these teams, and we could not figure out why. And finally we're like, oh God, they're all modded with 100% tenacity. So, that's the place the theory craft really is with mods. And I think particularly tenacity and potency.
All right. Next comes, what should we be farming? Next meta from Delp Twilix. What should we be farming? You should be farming Kandris, and you should be farming Darkside Bastila. And you should be finishing teams that you've already started. Don't get a team up to gear 11 and just bail on them and go to the next team. Really try to finish up at least the key pieces. We talked about bounty hunters, so try to finish your Boba and your boss to gear 12. Maybe Cad Bane to enhance his ship a little bit. Just get yourself a complete, because the deeper you get into territory wars and arena, just gear 10, gear 11 characters just stop being effective. So just go ahead and get above the curve and finish what you started, and just get the KOTOR tunes ready. I mean, that's something's coming, and if the last Revan event was any indicator, you don't need them geared. So just get the shards. Then maybe, do something fun. Range Trooper is actually a character you guys should kind of consider, kind of a lame, generic character, but is real important for your troop.
Just call Pimp Trooper a Sky in the whole game. Okay, sorry.
All right, next is tips for Grand Arena. Go heavier on offense or defense.
I'll go. I'm such a nerd. I'm reading The Art of War right now, and there's a quote. I'm not going to get it right, but it's like, know your enemy and you'll be victorious half the time. Know your enemy and yourself, and you'll be victorious all of the time. And you really got to know your own roster and your own abilities. The first thing I do when I get a Grand Arena opponent is I take inventory of them. I go down and I go, they've got a bounty hunter team. They might have 2, and I kind of guess what I would put on offense. And then I make sure there's no surprises. I'm sure you guys have a TW bot in your server. And I can post the ridiculous list of characters that I post to look through. It looks so long and it's embarrassing when it comes out, but it literally takes like 60 seconds to just go through and be like, they've got like, a 280 speed gear 12 OG Leia. Why would that be? Okay, well, I'm expecting an Admiral Akbar team, right? Or, oh crap, their Hermit Yoda is 300 speed. Or, oh no, their Thrawn Traya is super fast. And so I know that if I put Revan on defense, they're going to just take that down, no problem. So you just kind of have to, you go through and you just, match yourself up to the other player and see the biggest indicator of wins and losses that I've seen is mods. The more mods you have, the more teams you have. I've faced some players who I'm like, oh my God, look at these characters. Like, they're faster than mine. They're faster than mine. And then all of a sudden they're just not faster than mine anymore. They just have this tipping point and they fall off because they have 130 mods and I have 230 mods. So they've got a bunch of teams that are just as well modded, but then once I get to their like crew teams or their bounty hunters, they can't mod those teams. So if you're in this game for the long term, farm mods.
Mods are the most important part of this game. You can have every character in the game, doesn't do you any good if you don't have any mods. So mods. Somebody asked what the best way to farm mods is. Farming mods. Farming the mods.
Could you be more specific, perhaps?
Well, I mean, what's the best way to farm mods? You farm them from the app, unfortunately, and then you have to take all the white mods up so you get, dump the crappy ones, keep the good ones, just kind of increase your chances of hitting that home run. The white mods with 4 or 5 speed, take them to green. If they miss the speed, just let them sit. But the ones that go up to 9, 10 speed at green turn into next thing you know, 27, 28 speed mod. It takes a very, very long time to farm mods. Those assault battles are a very, very good way to do that. So that the one that gives you all the health mods, the blue ones, that one is arguably, in my opinion, worth a refresh because you get like 9 or 10 blue mods for 225 crystals. You're not going to get as good as mods farming 2 refreshes from the mod farming. That's just personal opinion. I mean, that's, if you have the crystals, great. If you guys, it's probably smarter to hoard the crystals for an event like Revan for whatever. But if you guys are a little more frivolous with the crystals, that one is definitely worth a refresh. Is there a general rule? What?
Can I just jump in for 1 second? So, basically, this is what I do. Basically, with your roster, first slice, right? Slice everything that is like, I do green 7s, but like go green 8 and above, blue 12 and above, and purple like maybe 13 and above, and slice all of those to see if they roll speed. Once you've exhausted that in your roster, then you're going to have to go and start farming mods again. I do buy mods out of the shop, but I think it is more efficient to just to farm them from white and then take them all up to 12. So you're looking for the secondaries that you want. So you just level them up to 12 again and again and again, and you ditch all the ones that don't roll speed or don't roll something that you want. And then you take those up. There's tons and tons and tons of white mods that have turned into +20s out there. Like so many. I've had a number that have been more than 15, probably like 10 or 15 by now.
The next question is, what is the best way to split up teams for Grand Arena? And that is, well, as a general rule, yes, you want to have a Dispel, you want to have a Cleanse, you want to have a Damage Dealer, and you want to have some sort of turn meter manipulation, and then you want to have a tank. All 5 of those elements, if you can cram them into a team, you've got yourself a good team. If you can keep it faction specific, great. If not, then you might have to jump around. But that's basically, it's very important to have a Cleanse, a Dispel, attack, turn meter manipulation, taunt. It goes through all the factions. We got a question from Scroopy Noopers. Old Republic Squad, Karth, what is the best lineup? You got a preference on that yet?
Oh, you've got yours. You're developing yours.
Karth, Mission, Zalbar, Kandris, a very, very tanky, offense-oriented Kandris. He does not need that much speed because he gives himself loads of turn meter from his unique. Then the 5th, you think Juani, but I'm thinking it's going to be better with probably Nest or Maybe even a Wampa to go off all those dots if you have that Zeta. The 5th is open for open for experimentation. We're still working on that team. Very good team. Very good team for offense and for defense. So probably arguably just as good as your boss teams, if not a little better. Karth is really the only Zeta that's mandatory, and obviously missions are good, but the team will function without them. Best lineup for HK47. That's going to be P2 with the tank raid. I guess
HK is like, make sure that you have your HK ready to go at 7 stars, because he's probably going to be required for the event that's coming up for Darth, whoever it is. And arena, like squad arena, is the place where you can't panic farm anything. So yeah.
HK you can build a very, very good team with. Just unfortunately, it's going to need to include more than likely, definitely L3, the tank, and then probably T3 as well. That's not a character a lot of people have developed. Those characters, that defense penetration from T3 really makes them hit hard. And then if they're slow, so I mean, if you can't get out in front, you might have to use Jawa Engineer. There's only 5 spots, right? So it's tough. Definitely not General Grievous or IG-100. Probably not even IG-86 anymore. Just because he didn't seem to scale well with the gear levels. He's kind of blown. Best 5th for First Order. Crew, First Order Stormtrooper, Kylo, X. Who do you like to use? Or just what 5 do you like to use for First?
Unless you can get your crew at least above 40,000 health, encroaching 45. If you're facing good Ewoks, those are just going to mow through your First Order. So it's kind of a rule I have on the TW board. There's no hard counters. No hard counters that aren't meta, right? So Ewoks, Imperial Troopers, get those away from my defense board. Like, you're not using those against the wolf pack if I can help it. So Barriss is a 5th to that instead of First Order Officer, is a great character. She has to be Zetaed, of course, and it's much, much better if she's gear 12, just packed full of health. She's also got a passive cleanse, as I mentioned before, and a heal. So between the two of them, I think it's 28% health recovery. That if crew is hit, he'll get 28% health recovery between Barriss' unique and his own. So if he has 40,000 health, you have to be hitting him for, well over 12,000 to even make a dent. So Ewoks are not going to be able to manage that at all. I've seen Wampa a lot. I don't know why people are using Wampa. I think it's kind of silly because you're going to bring days in, to the crew team anyway to kind of maintain them, to like control them. So maybe it's just another character that you need to put days on. I'm not sure. I've seen that. I've seen Nest with First Order. I think that's a waste. Who else? Oh, okay. Here's one. This is the new thing, people. This is what, if you can spare her, this is what you could do for the next war, but she takes away your rub encounters. Darkside Bastila with First Order is badass, like crazy badass. People were totally unable to get through it for 3v3. It was really tough because she's giving all of those extra bonuses to crew through her unique. So, but then your like main Treya counter goes away, so you got to be careful with that. But yeah, she's a great character, Darkside Bastila.
All right. Bastila mods. Best Jedi comps for TW. Bastila, if you're running Bastila, you do want health-oriented primaries, as the protection up that you begin the battle with is based off of health. I'm fairly sure. Is that right? Is that proper? Is that correct? All right. So you do want the health primaries, because the protection up you get from that is going to be more beneficial than just stacking protection, especially in Grand Arena, where you can use them on offense and get pretty much maximum banners because it's very difficult to get through that purple protection. 3 versus 3 comps. I mean, Revan, Jolie, Grandmaster Yoda, I guess, is probably one of the popular ones. You can use Bastila. I guess it depends on what you have. Again, you need a cleanse. You want to dispel a taunting tank, an attacker. Heal is nice. There's a lot of heal going on. A lot of people are running like a GK Barris, Jolie type of comp. A lot of teams like that you see. Just kind of stall, hopefully timeout team sort of form. I will say, if you guys want to place Revan, play Revan. What you don't want to do is use your Revan, then put them with like 2 of your underdeveloped, modded Jedi, if you will, and it just kind of waste Revan. So if you do Revan, just go ahead and go all the way and place them, and make sure that Revan does his trick and at least absorbs a top tier counter. Don't put like Revan. Like I faced a guy that put like Revan with his Gear 10 Ezra Kanan, and I went in with a team that I probably wouldn't even used in a normal Grand Arena to take it out. Right? Don't waste your Revan. All right, this one's going to be for you. How do you run Territory Wars, TB, and the raids for the guild?
An iron fist. Okay, so raids. I'm pretty hands-on with the guild, so the only thing with raids, we don't really have a problem with people posting early or anything like that. I can share my guild rules with you if you like. The only special thing we really do with raids is the Rancor. We do a rotating schedule with the Rancor so everybody can get top 3, basically once a month, once every 6 weeks or something like that. Everybody else just posts 0. Saves everybody 15 minutes that they can be remodding or something with. The tank raid, we are doing something that's super controversial in the guild right now, where we're letting people try to get their bonuses, their whatever they are, their reward. What are they freaking called? Their quests done. Their achievements. Yeah. And which I'm going to stop right away. So like kind of helping people to get first place. We don't limit damage in our guild. My guild is really based on attracting players that are, out of our league. And so you can't limit your best players. In my opinion, I don't limit my best players from doing what they do best, which is often raiding. So I don't limit damage on the raids. This hat thing is the first thing that I've done where that's it, and I don't like it. So yeah, TW. I used to kind of lay out a defensive plan beforehand. I don't do that anymore. I look at the opponent first. It takes we're stupid. It takes hours. I'll be on like voice chat and we'll be like talking with each other and what about this? Oh, they have that. And so we can see if they have Ewoks or they have this or they have that, or they have like, 50 Gear 12 Gar Saxons they're going to put a certain ship comp on. So we just kind of really analyze our opponent and then base our defense on that. But we of course have to mod everything beforehand. So I'll have a channel with like how I want everything modded. And we also have a web tool that will send out what everybody's mods are and what everybody's mods should be to them. We've only used it once. It's a little bit overkill, but the best thing I can recommend though to you guys is really focus on Grand Arena, because that's where everybody, like if you're going to play, you're going to have to learn how to counter these teams, and you don't have a choice. You can't go in and pick the one that you like the best. Like you just have what's given to you. It's going to make players better, and also could make them frustrated and not want to play, discouraged. So I have a channel with Grand Arena holds and counters. So people go in and they post videos or whatever, and there's no talking in there. And then I have another channel that's like Grand Arena chitty chat. And then like we help each other on what the counters are and everything there. So that's been a great focus, and that's going to make, like if you're supportive of your players in Grand Arena, that's going to make your Territory Wars so much better.
Yes, to utilize her guild server properly, you have to have a very nice understanding of the Dewey Decimal System.
Good old Maurice has been on there. He's like, I've got to go.
Yeah, I just my brain exploded. There were so many channels. I didn't know what to do.
A whole crap load of them we don't use. Like some of them are idyllic, like place all the Revan counters here and the Treya counters here. And, like that didn't last for very long. But
well, you guys got a lot here on this server. You have lots of individual channels. I'm sure there's a bunch, I can't even see just being like, you guys got lots of channels here, and all of them seem to be pretty active. So that's good. There's specialized channels for each, whatever works for you guys, all sorts of good stuff. Yeah, you guys got a nice, well moderated server here. You guys are pretty much on point with that. It's a good job there. Much, much better than my guilds and the alliance. Alliances is kind of going by the wayside. Let's see what we got. Lost the question. Tinker Bell, congratulations. You are the best server manager in the business. All right. Blah, 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 blah. You answered a lot of the next ones there passively in your thing. How do you keep the game fresh and exciting for your... I know in my guild, every week we do a Booger of the Week. Which is kidding. I don't know. It's this TW stuff all changes. I don't know if you call it like happy excitement, but everyone's definitely excited. It might be panicky, but the game's kind of forced it to be exciting again. Because I will say that TW where you just had like TB and then the Grand Arena, it's like an individually focused game for a while, right? Like no one was really. We just got kind of lazy, just like playing Grand Arena and TBs pretty much on autopilot. So then they throw these TWs at us, and we're just like freaking out. It's it looks like the game is going to keep it fresh and exciting for us, whether we like it or not, moving forward. For you guild officers, they are using the same bonuses we had last time. So you've got a couple days here to kind of get in there and really see who's got developed clones. Developed Imperial Troopers, developed Jawas, so on and so forth. Maybe not. Nobody should probably improve these characters at this time, but I'm sure, especially if you have old veteran players of 2+ years, they're going to have a Zeta Cody, or they're going to have at least the clones. So put those to use, however you see fit. I don't know the best place for them, offense or defense. The Jawas are pretty.
Seems like. Yeah, it seems like the clones, there was one of the guilds that were just bound to be up against very, very soon, put clones on defense. They were matched up against the top mighty Chlorian group, and they couldn't break through their clones, and there was like a 20 million difference, and like they were up against a very, very good guild. I think it was Rex lead. And then the rest of the clones. So we put on Cody lead and got a whole bunch of holds, but I don't know why I didn't think about Rex, because their clones are slow, right? So it's just, you hit them once, we hit them, and then off they go, and you're going to have a lot of trouble getting them to stop. They were even having trouble using Revan and Treya against them. That's how good they were.
Snap! What is the best area to focus on for a guild to get the most rewards? Well, there are certain things, such as the Night Sisters and First Order, for instance. These are both teams that are great for TV. They're both excellent TW Grand Arena team, and they also both are semi-decent. Night Sisters are great. First Order are serviceable raid teams. Just try to look for the teams that you think you can use everywhere in the game. Phoenix, Ewoks. These are not teams that are necessarily as good. Like they're more PvP oriented, or they have a specific use. I'm trying to think of some other ones. CLS, Han, Chewie. Ray, BB-8. I mean, these are teams that you can use across the board, every game mode. And for the most part, I'm sure most of you guys have already worked on, or probably even completed a lot of those teams, or are currently working on them.
And I think
Bastila
once
is a
you
pretty
get,
safe investment. Go ahead.
I was going to say, once you get caught up, I mean, Goodfoot, you're a patron and you listen to the channel and stuff. And so, we're my prediction, if I make a prediction, well, I don't want to say it's going to be right, but it's going to be right. like if I make a guess, that's not necessarily, I'm like, well, maybe this, maybe, but if I'm like, this has got to be happening, like there's just the formula that CG has. And part of the game is understanding that formula, especially as guild leaders and officers, understanding that formula and extrapolating out for your guild so you can get ahead of stuff. Right. So, Ray, my guild had, I think, like around 43 Ray, and we were small then. We were like way far away from the top, way far away from the top. We like guilds around us had like 5 or 10 sort of thing. Revan, again, we have 46 Revan in the guild right now. Guilds of RGP have around 20. Like nobody has the same amount. And most of my guys spent between $0 and $50 to get Revan, because I was like upfront saying, like, obviously this is coming, farm. So right now, obviously something is coming. We've used the Jedi Knight Revan schedule and applied that to whatever the heck this is. The tunes are dropping right on the same date. So Lightside Bastila dropped, say, whatever, 3 weeks after announced, blah, blah, blah. That same rhythm is happening to make the event fall on February the 21st. So if you want to get that character, you're doing 3 refreshes of Ordo every single day. And you're doing like 25 and 50, like 2 refreshes on Bastila's node, if not 3. So you're just like super focused farming that and saving your crystals as much as possible. You have to be up in arena to be able to do that. I know that seems like big to someone who's, not in the top 100 or 50. But that's, you can get it. You have to have the crystal income to do that.
Word to your moms. Next question.
That was the question?
No.
I've posted a couple of things in there, like just our chat. Anything that says HQ, nobody can write in. That's just where we boss people around. And then those are all the bots that we use. Team Money Penny is our schedule bot. I don't know the actual name of that. But those are all bots you can just look up on a Discord. Like look up on the web and you can bring in.
We got a couple more here. What is the best area to focus on to be successful? Mods. The end. I'm just kidding, but mods are the most important part. Even if you only have 15, 20 developed characters, but you have 15, 20 modded well characters, you're going to do a lot with what mods can make average to below average characters useful. They can make average to above average characters really shine and beat things that they shouldn't be able to beat, so on and so forth. Speed gets you an extra turn in a raid situation, which can sometimes result in hundreds of thousands of points. It can be the difference. Speed on some of your raid teams can be the difference between 9th and 10th, 3rd and 4th, 1st and 2nd, so on and so forth. Mods really are very, very important. The newest characters, are they important? Yes, but to always have the newest characters at G12 will cost you a significant chunk of change. So just mods, especially if you guys are free to play, mods are the way to keep you in the mix. Anything you want to add to that, or something that you guys
mods and no, we have all learned the lesson from playing in Grand Arena. If you're struggling in Grand Arena, look at how many gear 6, 7, 8, 9 characters you have. The best rosters, we just brought in like a 3.2 million roster, and our guild average is like 4.2. But he had just a super focused roster with like 100 geared tunes, 11 and 12, and then like 330 mods or something. So that's the ideal roster, is just like hardly any characters. and you just kind of make a plan, make a decision, and take it all the way up to whatever it works at. I had my Hermit Yoda at gear 10 for the longest time. I have my Poe at gear 10 for the longest time, and Finn, and like a lot of these characters work at low gear, but whatever gear level they worked at, just move them up there right away. Try if you have whatever 30 gear 8 characters, what's done is done, but just going forward, make sure that you just have your plan and go all the way up. And sometimes plans change, but just try and limit that, because those are resources that you need, especially the coins, especially credits, because all of those credits for 7-starring characters that you don't use and don't need, or level 85ing them, all of those can be buying mods. And that's where probably anywhere from 50 to 80% of my crystal resources go is mods. I'm catching up a little bit. I kind of realized that I didn't have the mods for my roster, and so I had made a big push recently to get them. But still, it just makes it so much more fun, because you're like, oh, my everything is faster than your everything. So you just it's just up to me being stupid if I'm going to lose, not me just being behind the 8 ball.
All right, now we'll get to that Carly question. This is pretty much the last question I see. If you were creating a brand new account today, where would you focus your efforts for the first light side and dark side teams? I guess Phoenix, and then Night Sisters. Probably be my answer, but Night Sisters are kind of as Zombie and Talisman, those long farms. Phoenix kind of lame, but they have Rebels, they have Jedis that you can kind of branch off and get the required units. You only need 3 Jedi, for instance, for the Grandmaster. You only need, you can use them for both Palpatine and the Throne. Now their ships are meta in the game, so you've got good. Kind of a lame team. It's difficult conquering some of the early game units, or mid game, if you will, with Phoenix, but it'll get you over the hump, get you the characters that you need. Thrawn and Palpatine are 2 characters you guys definitely. I don't know about Dark Side. I don't know. I don't think there's a right answer there. There's so many that I can do.
Really, Phoenix is the doorway, like you said, to EP and Thrawn, and that's halfway to an amazing dark side team. I would add, Vader to that as well, because he makes everybody's roster better because of all of his crazy speed bonuses. And then the late nodes are really hard to farm. So you can, if you have players who are starting out, give them your ally code and get them to, and you can pull them along through those later nodes. But I think one of the best teams, one of the most useful teams that low gear will get you. I'm just trying to think of, I don't know if any of them are hard nodes or how many of them are hard nodes. What about Zeta Finn? That was one of the teams that I had really early on, one of my first Zetas. And I just didn't realize how crazy important it was. It was getting me through my Galactic War when that was so difficult. And it got me through all of those hard nodes at the end, even at gear 8 and 9. And Resistance Trooper is super useful when it comes time to do the tank raid or the Sith raid. So yeah, so probably Phoenix, Zeta Finn.
All right, guys. I don't have too much longer here. I got to start setting up for Ramon's stream. But do you guys have any other questions or anything you want to ask us? Thank you guys for letting us come here. I hope you guys do check out the channel. Check out our Discord. We did a pretty good workshop the other day, really diving into a lot of the things that we talked about here, really breaking down the First Order, really breaking down Kira. The Night Sisters, I think, is the other team we did. So we do those once a month, and then we get streams and videos and all that. That was probably not the best sales pitch.
I'm just going to post. There's a couple of resources that I'm going to post for you guys. I'm going to post the link. You have to open that in a new window. Everybody's going to be like, it's so small. Yeah, you just have to post it in a new window and it'll open properly for you, or download it. So that's just, for players starting out, those are like, those are the, you can't go wrong with these characters sort of thing. And actually, a lot of these new characters, especially like Revan, you could go for Revan like right away, right? I mean, new players starting out, whatever marquee is on right then, that's what they should just be going like balls to the wall for. Say that, balls to the wall. Goodfoot, is this a PG server? The PG saying? Okay, balls. And the other thing I'm going to post here, balls to the wall. Here, and so this is a little mods infographic that we made a while back with Warrior, and it's just got like all of the mod stats and everything, and you can just, it's like a little pretty guide to mods, and and I'll post our Discord server too. We're almost at 2,000 people, pretty darn close.
If you guys do have questions, you can get to us on the Discord. We're pretty active on there, and if we're not on there, we got just a crazy experienced group of players over there on that Discord server. Great players on that server. A lot of good minds. We get a lot of different advice, good but different strategies and stuff. So sometimes it's good to get multiple people's opinions and then kind of find what works best for your characters, your mods, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just thought of that. Like